Hello everyone. In order to guide you through the reflection, which is what we are calling the creative piece, I'm creating a small video, a short video that will speak to some of the key points that I have picked up through reading the CXC syllabus. So I'm going to share these details with you. If you have any more questions after this, I will be happy to answer them. Just send me a little email and then I can either create a follow-up video to answer those questions or I will just reply to them directly. You have selected your theme and now it's time to go ahead and select the topic for your creative piece. So much like we had at CSEC level, your theme is what's going to guide your overall portfolio for your individual assessment. But your topic is going to relate specifically to what you're going to make into your creative piece. So if your overall theme, for example, was how social media impacts teen writing, then your creative piece topic could be how language changed as a result of text messaging. And in this, the idea, the theme, or the plot could be that two teens are talking and there's a mom and they're planning something bad, or the mom can't figure out what they're talking about. There's a dialogue between the two of them and all they're using is abbreviations. HBU, OMG, LOL, and some other abbreviations which I don't know, but you will know. This is an example. So where are we going? That your topic must lend itself to a creative piece, and your creative piece is not an analysis of the overall theme. It is a representation or a demonstration of the topic in a real life scenario. Okay, great. Now I'm going to talk about the literary style that is appropriate for a creative piece. One of the questions I got was, does this have to be a short story? So I researched it, and the answer to that question is that your entries must be reflective and literary in nature. And so you are allowed to write short stories, absolutely. But the other genres that you are also able to participate in are drama, poetry, and you might be able to do diaries. I wouldn't necessarily recommend a diary unless you really believe you can pull that off. It would have to have multiple entries in a diary, and then there's a few additional requirements that it should include. Now, whether you choose poetry, drama, short story, it should be 800 words. Someone asked, can it be a piece of art? No. You need to demonstrate your competence with the language, and this comes through writing. So it has to fall under one of the categories that we have here. And even if you were going to try to introduce an element of art, you're not going to get a grade for the introduction of art. So it is best to stick to writing. Defining your audience and situation. You are going to be required to specify who your target audience is, not necessarily within your creative piece, but in the preface, the introduction to your creative piece. Introducing your target audience means that you're going to set the context and the situation in which your piece is being presented. Please note this is not the setting, and I will explain that in more detail in a couple of seconds. Examples of good audiences and situations are, for example, saying that I expect my play will be performed at a concert in my community. I will present my piece at a town meeting. I will present my poem will be published in a specific section of a newspaper or a magazine, or my short story will be published in a magazine. My short story will be presented at a symposium, or it will be published on a website, for example. Now, why did I say that your target audience and the context or situation for your piece is not the setting? The situation or context in which the production will be shared is what we are defining right now. So it is 100% talking about how you're going to share this creative piece with an audience. This is not, absolutely not, the situation or context in which the action takes place, which is the setting. If there's any confusion about this, please drop me a line so that I can respond. Know the details of your writing. You should pay attention to the creative use of narrative techniques. And in my other PowerPoint, you will have a full list of all the narrative techniques that should be included in your piece. If you're going to write a play, make sure that you include stage directions and talk about the outfits that your characters are wearing, and describe your elements in keeping with the standards of playwriting. Use imagery and sensory details. This is going to be very, very critical for your story. And although the point isn't going to come up on the screen right now, remember that you are going to be judged on the use of language and register, so it must be included. Include elements, the key elements of your selected genre, so make sure that you research, if you're going to write a poem, what poetic devices exist and how you're going to use them to enhance what you're writing. If you're going to write a narrative, if you're writing a short story, make sure you research short stories and make sure that you research plays. Don't just start writing without being clear. Understand what type of language your characters are going to use in this story, and this language must reflect the character's status and their emotions. Plot selection is going to be critical, and your plot needs to be able to facilitate certain elements being included in your creative piece. You're going to need to be able to embrace variations and varieties of the language registers, embrace variations and varieties of communicative behaviors, and reflect the theme. So the plot is going to need to be able to allow you to work in dialogue where people use both Jamaican Creole and Jamaican English, physical body language, which is traditional to how Jamaicans communicate with each other. You're going to want to work in what we call code switching, where you maybe speak standard English sometimes and Creole at other times, and recognizing those situations that are more formal, which require standard English, and those that are more casual, where you can use Creole. So make sure that your plot facilitates this type of creativity and variation in your story or your play or your poem. It's really important for your creative piece to include those language elements, because that is what is going to facilitate the language analysis that you will do later on. Now that we are here, what comes next? You have your approved theme and you have some decisions that you need to make right away. Decide on the topic for your creative writing piece, who the characters are, create your character wheels, define your plot, define your conflict for this story. Follow the guide that's in the narrative writing PowerPoint and watch some of the video resources that are included there, and have fun writing.